Hi Cancer, welcome back. I'm Jennifer, and if this is your first time and you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so now. This is your weekly reading for January 15th to the 21st, and I'm using the Colette Baron Reid Good Tarot, as well as I clarified with one card from the Medicine Woman Tarot deck. And at the end of the reading, we're going to pull one oracle card as further guidance for the week or more insight into the reading. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Magician. So the Magician talks about alchemy, creating the things that, bringing into manifestation, having all the tools at your disposal. Sometimes the Magician can also represent a trickster of sorts. Perhaps someone who manipulates, things of that nature. Okay? Now, at the top of your reading here, we have the Queen of Fire, which is the Queen of Wands. And I think this is representing an aspect of you in this reading, though it could be someone that you are dealing with. Perhaps an aspect of that person. It could be a fire sign. But the way I do my readings is for a deeper meaning into your own life and a look into sort of what's going on with you. So the Queen of Fire in this case is going to represent you perhaps have been channeling your energy into something that you were very passionate about. Maybe it was your family or a project or your job or a relationship. I don't know, because this is a general reading. But this talks about someone who was, you were moving forward in a bold way. Or you were really putting your all into something. Nurturing it and basically using your will and channeling your energy into this, okay? And we see that here we get the Two of Fire, and this card talks about, it's the next card after the Ace. So this is about a planning stage, the twos. You can see that, this woman is this little, whatever, this female figure here is sitting on this giraffe, and she's sort of in a pose of like thinking and planning. It's about bringing structure to your plans. It's about devising a strategy and perhaps taking the first steps toward something new. Now, we do have next, after that, we have the Two of Air. This can talk about perhaps you and someone else have opposing views. You're not seeing things the same way as someone else in your life. Or perhaps you are conflicted about something in your life. Or this could be you cutting someone out of your life as well. And it could be very well this Queen of Fire. After that, we have the Page of Earth. I'm just going to go through each card, and then we're going to talk about them. Okay, the Page of Earth represents, could represent a message, a new beginning. The Earth, the Pentacles, represent physical things. It could be talking about your health. Perhaps you need to pay more attention to your health. It could also be talking about responsibility, dependability, because this is the most dependable of all the pages here. It's really a down-to-earth energy. And it can be reliable, steady. So, next we have the High Priestess. And this talks about intuition, hidden knowledge, perhaps secrets. Maybe even just you and your connection to your own spirit. This could also be a person. in your life who would represent qualities of this high priestess. Somebody who sees through the veil. Somebody who can see through BS. And maybe that's you. Maybe that's an aspect of yourself. And then we have the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Water. And this card really talks about walking away from something, but while you're walking away from it, it's with a knowing, a deep inner knowing, similar to the Hermit, that you're on a quest for something else. There's something else out there, and you know that there's something you need to let go of, and you need to, walk away from whatever that is, whether it's a way of thinking, perhaps a person in your life, maybe a situation that you can no longer, it is not serving your best good to continue dealing with, and you're better off just walking away from it, kind of thing. But it is a card also of hope, because there's a ship here in this card, and it's sort of signifying like, you know what, there's something else on the horizon for you. Now, the cards, we do get the Three of Air at the end of this reading. So, and honestly, Cancer, when I first sat down to do your reading, I got this sense of like, as I was tuning into like the Cancer energy, I got this very deep feeling of like a broken heart, a sad heart. I think you're sad about something this week, and you might already know what that is. You could have found out information about your health that you are not happy with, for some of you. For others of you, this could just be a work situation. I mean, it's a general reading, but it could be that you have to, some of you might have a health problem. Some of you might be going for a surgery as well. But whatever this is that you had started out here, I mean, it's like you knew something, and maybe you were listening and you had to make a decision to do something about it. Whether this is, walking away from something or someone. But I'm getting the sense that there's some kind of sadness going on for you this week. And I think it's going to be, I mean, most of the readings, don't feel bad, Cancer, because so far the readings they've been, Aries got this card as well. So, it looks like it's going to be a rough week for most of us so far, from what I've done. Now, to clarify the reading, I pulled the Teaching Lodge of the Arrows. And in this deck, that would be equivalent to the Queen of Swords. This card is the Liberator. And it talks about perhaps you needing to take control of a situation for yourself. Maybe you need to liberate yourself from a situation. And maybe you are knowing what this is. And if you aren't listening to your intuition, when the High Priestess shows up, it's definitely an important time to start listening. And, unfortunately, the Three of Air, it can represent loss, disappointment. But in this deck, Colette Baron-Reid says this particular quote that, rejection is God's protection. So, whether it's a rejection of something, or if it's just the feeling of loss from whatever it is that you're walking away from, it's something that you have to experience in order to be liberated in some way. Because you're in the process of, I think we're all really in the process of learning to be this magician for ourselves. and stop allowing, tricksters and manipulators to use our power for their own ends. And with the Magician, there's the overall energy, and the Liberator card, the Queen of Swords, as the clarifier. I think this reading is saying that whatever this disappointment is going to end up liberating you in some way. And this card also talks about you being that liberator in your own life. Like having a space in your home or in your apartment, or whatever, wherever, a place where you can have your peace, and you can be that. It can be your own like teaching lodge in a way. A place for you to learn, to gather your thoughts, to understand, in what ways do you feel that you're not liberated? Do you feel like you can't make this decision? Do you feel like things are out of your control? And sometimes there are things that happen that are out of our control, obviously. But when we listen to our intuition and we get in touch with that inner knowledge, even though sometimes circumstances may seem like ridiculous, it's for the growth and liberation of our soul. And that's what's really important. I mean, yes, our lives matter here while we live our lives here. But ultimately, our lives are short in comparison to the energy that lives on. And perhaps there's something that you have been participating in that hasn't been aligned with your soul. Maybe what you thought you were putting your energy into turned out to be something that you need to walk away from in order to liberate yourself in some way. So I'm just going to read the prayer for this card here. In the name of harmony and peace I live. I am the one who speaks. I have studied the great warriors, the peacemakers, those who freed slaves, and those who stood their own ground. I am learning the themes of their lives and making them my own. I am learning from revolutionary women and evolutionary men the very qualities that gave them undying spirit. I am gathering to myself the knowledge that I too can draw on the great mind. In my life, I will correct an injustice. I will right a wrong. I will bring love where none has been known. I attune myself to the sound of truth, and I listen until I am known. So, it also talks about, putting yourself in the company of people with great minds, people that you respect their minds, maybe reading books of people that you never got around to reading. Like me, for example, I actually read the story of Martin Luther King. I read a book about him. I also actually was starting to read a book that he wrote. I didn't finish reading it. It might not be the best example. But, maybe read a book of, something that perhaps you see posts on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is that you use. And you like these quotes that you see, but have you ever read the book? Are you really because this is about knowledge too and study. And maybe it's, maybe these cards are saying whatever it is that you thought you were getting yourself into, maybe you need to learn more about it. And this card also talks about delete from your realities things that bring you down. So if you think about that, I mean, yes, you can't completely delete things that bring you down, but in your sacred space, in that place that you go to maybe once a day or as often as you can, to feel liberated also doesn't mean that you just feel good all the time. It does mean that you can look at the more difficult aspects of life and choose to right a wrong and create justice, whether that's in your own life or in the larger reality, in the world at large. So let's choose one oracle card from the Wisdom of the Trees Oracle, and it just chose itself. We got Indian Bean for you. So let's see what Indian Bean has to say. I forget what this one means. Vitality. My beautiful trumpet-shaped flowers greet the sun in the summer, and in the autumn I show off my seed pods. Let me teach you how to make the most of your many talents and attributes so you can regain vitality. The catalpa's common name is a misnomer because it does not come from India and it does not bear beans, even though its pendulous seed pods look like them. When European settlers first saw the tree in the southern United States, it was growing in the fields owned by Cherokee Native Americans, and its botanical name comes from the Cherokee name for the tree. The Indian bean tree is frequently planted in parks for ornamental interest because it flowers so prolifically each summer. Catalpa wood is sometimes used to make guitars. So there are two meanings to the card. I'm going to share both of those with you. One of the best ways to heal yourself at the moment is to embrace every day with enthusiasm and do everything you can to get the most benefit from it. Treat the people you meet with respect and an open heart. Do not overlook the obvious and simple ways of healing yourself. Ensure that you have plenty of rest and sleep, and find the time to prepare and eat wholesome, natural foods, regardless of how busy you may be. So, like I said in the beginning, I did get the feeling that, like, a health concern could be cropping up for some of you cancers out there. And, you know, I would suggest that before, I'm not a doctor, I'm not saying that you should have, not go see your doctor, but you should absolutely look into alternative medicines and ways of healing that are not always aligned with the mainstream, because I think it's backwards that we call traditional medicine modern medicine, and medicines that have been around for thousands and thousands of years alternative. No, those are not alternative. Those are traditional medicines. Modern medicine is actually alternative. If you're being told that you have to get a surgery, I think with the Liberator card and the Indian Bean card, it may be saying, look for other avenues of healing before you let yourself go under the knife. Because sometimes the swords, especially with the Page of Earth here, which if this is a health issue for you, this could be talking about a surgery. And perhaps you're thinking about having a surgery. And I think that you should, seek that knowledge. Seek the knowledge that you need to. Listen to your intuition. Because the Liberator card could be saying, liberate yourself from this situation. It doesn't have to be the end. And I don't know exactly, what's wrong with you. You might want to look into raw foods. They do happen to heal a lot of people. If you live in a state where cannabis is legal, you might want to check out Rick Simpson's Run from the Cure video. Again, I'm not a doctor. I can only share with you the knowledge that I have gained from my own research. And I do, I think with the Indian Bean card here as vitality, I think it's giving you a real sense of hope, because you can get back that feeling of being well again. And not to overlook the obvious things, which is, you know, making sure that you get plenty of rest. So I'm going to choose also just one card here. This is going to be like your word, perhaps, to focus on for the week. So can we have one word here for Cancer? Give us one for Cancer. Transformation. So there you go. You know, whatever this is that you are walking away from, maybe this is a transformation of your health. You can also see like the angels moving from darkness to light. That can also represent gaining more knowledge, learning something new. I would recommend, I trust Dr. Berg on YouTube here. I also like Dr. Axe. And also just looking into different herbs and treatments, like, you know, maybe acupuncture or Chinese medicine. And there are a lot of people on YouTube that, you know, go through these problems and find ways to help themselves and cure themselves, and they share it with all of us here. So if you haven't looked into that, I do encourage you to do so. Again, I'm not saying that you should completely dismiss what your doctor says, but that you should look into what I would consider traditional treatments, which is, you know, looking at natural ways, Chinese medicine, things like that. Okay, so Cancer, I wish you the best for the week. I hope that you have a good week. And if this reading has helped you in any way, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so by checking down in the box below. You can shoot me an email. And if you are feeling generous, of course, please donate to my channel as well. Thank you, Cancer, and have a great week. Bye-bye.